Few days ago, Elon Musk sat down and explained the most ambitious AI plan anyone ever announced. Not data centers in a building, data centers in space. Thousands of satellites and then millions beaming down AI compute from orbit, and the way he describes it sounds easy. But once you run the actual numbers, there's a problem hiding underneath the whole plan. A problem that Musk barely mentioned. And it's the difference between this being the future of AI and the most expensive science project in history. Let me show you guys where the math breaks. Here's what Musk actually announced. And here's the plan in plain terms. SpaceX bought Elon's AI company, XAI, and folded it in, and then revealed their first AI satellite called AI-1. Think of it as a single rack of computers wrapped in solar panels, floating about 600 kilometers up. The pitch is simple. Earth is running out of room and powerful AI, so move the computers to space where the sun never sets and cooling is free. And Musk's core message was that this isn't science fiction or some far-off dream.
In order to start to make some progress, on the quantitative scale, we need to launch satellites to orbit Earth and capture solar power, and that avoids the need to build massive power plants on Earth and deal with cooling, because cooling is actually much easier in space than it is on Earth. You can just radiate to the vacuum.
And he doubled down. He says that the AI satellite is simpler than the Starlink satellite. SpaceX already built thousands. There's no magic required.
The AI satellite is actually much simpler than a Starlink satellite. A Starlink satellite has gigantic phased array antennas. It's got parabolic antennas. It's got a lot of laser links. It's much more complicated than an AI satellite. An AI satellite is essentially a lot of solar cells, a radiator, and you still need some laser links, but you don't have all of the super complex antennas that you have on a Starlink satellite. So, I mean, given the two, the easier one to design for is the AI satellite.
Here's the promise, a power plant bigger than America. And the scale he's claiming for is almost hard to say out loud. He wants to start with 1 gigawatt of AI compute in space by the end of next year, and then multiply that by 10 every year until SpaceX is launching more computing power than the entire United States uses today.
This is not a promise of what we'll do. This is what we are going to try to do and think we probably can do, which is to get to roughly an annualized rate of 1 gigawatt per year by the end of next year in terms of space AI compute. And then aspirationally, scale that by an order of magnitude per year. So in 2.5 years, hitting an annualized rate of 10 gigawatts a year to space, in 3.5 years, maybe 100 gigawatts. And then depending upon what progress there is in chip making in the rest of the world and with the terafab, going beyond that to scale to a terawatt per year, which is 1,000 gigawatts.
So that's the promise. Unlimited solar power, free cooling, simple satellites, and a timeline measured in a few short years. It sounds incredible, and that's exactly when you should slow down and ask the obvious question. If it's this easy, why is everyone else in the industry so nervous about it? Because while Musk was on camera saying that no magic needed, other engineers and analysts were quietly running the actual numbers, and they found a hidden problem. The hidden problem part 1, it costs way more than Earth. Here's the thing, Musk's pitch glides right past. Right now, putting AI in space doesn't cost a little more than doing it on Earth, it costs a lot more. The most detailed public study comes from Semi-Analysis, a respected chip and data center research firm. They built out a full cost model, and their finding is blunt. Doing AI compute in space today costs about 3.5 to 4 times more than doing it on the ground. And these aren't vague guesses. They ran an example. Take one small cluster of NVIDIA's B300 chips. On Earth, the total project is about $1.4 million. The same cluster in space, about $4.1 million. To run it per month, you're looking at roughly $28,000 on the ground versus over $100,000 in orbit. Per chip, per hour, ground compute costs about $2.37, and in space, it's $8.64. That's not a rounding error, that's completely different business. And the single biggest reason for that gap is the one thing Musk's whole plan depends on, getting the hardware up there. The hidden problem part 2, the launch cost has to collapse. Everything about space data centers lives and dies on one number. How much it costs to put a kilogram of hardware into orbit. And right now, that number is the problem. SpaceX's Falcon 9 costs somewhere around $1,400 to $2,700 per kilogram, but for orbital data centers to actually make financial sense, that number needs to fall to around $200 per kilogram. Google's own researchers put the break-even near 200. That's not a small improvement, that's a cost dropping by roughly 90%. Now, Musk has an answer to all of this, and it's Starship. SpaceX is targeting around $250 per kilogram of Starship, an 80% drop from Falcon 9, and if they hit it, the math gets a lot closer. But notice the catch. The entire plan rests on a rocket that hasn't reached full rapid reusability yet, and on-cost targets that even Citigroup analysts don't expect to fully arrive until around 2040. So the foundation of the whole pitch is a future price, not today's price.
Legs, which are heavy, the rocket can simply be caught by the tower. And we haven't achieved full reusability yet, but we do expect to achieve that hopefully later this year with Starship. And then you've got to achieve full reusability. Then you've got to go a step beyond that, which is make it rapidly reusable, such that the rocket lands, it gets caught by the tower, gets put back on the launch stand, and can be flown again without any refurbishment or laborious inspection, like an aircraft.
Yeah.
The hidden problem part 3. Space isn't actually free power or free cooling. This is the part that surprises people the most. Musk's two biggest selling points are free solar power and free cooling. Both of those claims are, at best, half true. Start with the power. Yes, the sun is stronger in space, but most satellites orbit through Earth's shadow. And in low orbit, a satellite is only in sunlight about 60% of the time. So instead of catching the full 1,361 watts per square meter, the real 24-hour average drops to around 800. And every time it passes into darkness, batteries have to carry 100% of the load, which means more hardware, more weight, and more costs. Now the cooling, this is a real hidden problem, and Musk makes it sound effortless.
We like to look at this and say, like, what is the actual engineering problem here? And it's really a combination of delivering power and then taking the waste heat and energy away and sending it into the vacuum of space, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Here's what they don't dwell on. In space, there's no air and no water to carry heat away. The only way to get rid of that heat is to radiate it, and that needs enormous radiators. How enormous? The International Space Station's radiator system removes just 70 kilowatts of heat, and that's only about half of what it takes to cool a single NVIDIA GB300 rack. And that ISS system covers 325 square meters between the cost of $340 and $500 million. Now imagine thousands of cooling racks. The radiators alone become a city-sized engineering problem, and Bloomberg's mock-up of a full-scale version is about 4 kilometers across. The hidden problem part 4. Radiation and no repairman. There's another quiet cost. In space, radiation slowly fries electronics, and you cannot send a technician up to swap a broken part. On Earth, if a chip fails, someone walks over and replaces it. In orbit, that's impossible, so you have to launch extra chips as backups, and you have to assume that they wear out faster. Semi-analysis models space hardware only lasting about 5 years versus 15 on the ground, and they add a 26% cost penalty for space redundancy and reliability compared to about 5% on Earth. Triple redundancy in some designs means launching 3 times the chips, 3 times the cooling, 3 times the launch cost. Hidden problem part 5, the data bottleneck. And here's the one that matters most for the biggest AI jobs. Training frontier AI models means tens of thousands of chips talking to each other constantly at insane speeds. And inside a normal data center, NVIDIA links a single GPU into the cluster at around 7.2 terabits per second. The best laser links between satellites today do roughly 100 to 400 gigabits per second. That's still a gap of 20 to 7 times. So even if you solved power, cooling, and cost, the satellites still can't move data fast enough between each other to train the largest models the way the Earth data center do, which means the dream vision of giant AI brains in orbit hits a wall that has nothing to do with rockets. So is Elon Musk wrong? Not exactly. Now here's where I have to be fair, because the honest answer is that Musk isn't lying. It's more interesting than that. The same semi-analysis study that found that space costs 4 more times more today also found the gap closes over time. Their base case says space and Earth reach parity around 2040. And if you believe Musk's most aggressive scenario, where Earth's power grid stays stuck while chip production keeps exploding, that parity could arrive as early as the early 2030s. And at that point, space stops being a science project and starts being the only place left to grow. And the reason Earth might get stuck is real. Connecting a new big data center to the US power grid can take 7 years. The spare capacity on the ground is shrinking fast, so Musk's steeper bet isn't that space is cheap, it's that Earth is about to become impossible. And that's the part of his argument that actually